All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome back to Be Mine. You were here this week to be the one for your best fit buyers in less time and with less wishing and praying or waiting and baiting, right? So if you're ready for that, drop ready in the chat so I know that you are here. Today we're going to be talking about step 2, which is be known. So yesterday we'll do a quick recap in a minute in case you weren't here yesterday. So just hold tight. Yesterday was be seen. That's the first step, right? But the second step is I think where so many people want to skip from step 1 to step 3 and they miss out on step 2 and they wonder why they don't get to step 3. So step 2 is be known. And this is really key because this is when we start engaging in relationship building experiences. And in those, we're starting to demonstrate conviction, right? What do we stand for? What are we, confident about? How can we help these best fit buyers that we identified yesterday get to know us and us get to know them? Okay, that is the key, that it is us and them, okay, who are doing that, who are looking for that when we're coming in. So, yes, okay, just getting every people in here as we're going. It just threw me for a loop. I saw myself in the chat and I'm like, wait, but that's one of my interns who must be logged in under my account, which is totally fine. Just kind of threw me for a second. I'm like, how is Lissa commenting when she's talking? But I can't type and talk at the same time. So yes, I couldn't be doing both. But I'm glad that you guys are here and let me know, Wendy, if you don't mind, let me know if you are able to be a co-host. I don't know what your availability is being on today. So if you can just drop that in the chat to me, that'd be great. If not, I will plan to do it. Let me go ahead and grab the guide link in case you don't have it from yesterday. This is the guide that is going to help you to walk with us. Again, it's a very simple, just kind of outline of where we're going. Although, it can be very helpful to keep you focused if you tend to get distracted easily by other people and things and stuff like that. So this is your reminder. What are your distractions right now? Look around in your space. How many tabs do you have open? I'm not going to make you tell me, but how many tabs? Okay, great. I'll make you co-host. That'd be helpful so I can not have to be watching the people coming in. So close your tabs while I'm getting Wendy in here as co-host. And let me find her. There we go. Let's see. Okay, maybe you are co-host. Okay, you should be co-host, Wendy, so you should be able to drop people in and stuff like that. It must have automatically done that because it thought that you were me. Okay, so the rest of you, what can we notify? What can we silence? What can we turn off? What can we close? What thoughts are going through our head right now, right? Whether it was from stuff yesterday that you're like, I don't know, I still don't feel like I'm being seen. It's okay. We're just starting the process. Maybe something's come up in your business or in your life in the last 24 hours and that thing is replaying in your head, right? We're going to take those thoughts captive so we can focus for the next hour together and really dive into step 2 to be known. All right. Now, real quick, I just want to give you guys a tutorial on how to get the replay. Okay. So I'm going to drop the link for the replay in the chat. It's just redeemhertime.com/mine-replay. It is a private audio feed. So you can't just show up in your podcast app and expect to find it. You need to click that link and then you'll be sent an email. The email says your audio access. If you want to listen from your phone, open it on your phone, scroll down to where it says start listening, and it will ask you what platform do you want. You choose which platform you want, and then it will take you right there and you can hit subscribe or follow or whatever it says. And then every time you go to that podcast library, it will be there waiting for you, including all the new episodes. Okay. So I know that replays can get a little tricky and I will put it on YouTube also, but I like the audio because it's on the go, right? So you can listen while you're walking, you can listen while you're driving, you can listen while you're getting ready in the morning or just chillaxing in the evening or whatever that is. I want to make these replays really accessible because I have a feeling even if you're live, you're going to want to come back, right? Because you're going to be like, wait, what was that? And okay, now I'm ready for this next step. So these are really valuable. And those of you who are my replay peeps, I'm so proud of you that you are here and listening and you're not making excuses about why you don't have time. And you are doing the work as well. So glad that you are here. And I hope right now that you guys are feeling the love these days, whether you've got a hot date this Valentine's Day, right? There's always something in us that makes us not just want to be seen, right? But to actually be known. And do you know the difference? And it was interesting when I threw out be seen, be known, be the one to CEOs and business owners in the weeks leading up to this, I had several people say, I don't really understand the difference. And I thought, this is exactly why we need to have this conversation. Because we think being seen is the same thing as being known, which is going to lead to be the one. And guess what? That is not true. That is probably what is keeping you where you are right now. So we're going to dive into the be known, that middle step today, because this is still the second part now of the sales part. Remember we talked yesterday, only 2 things you have to do in business. Who's ready to shorten a list? Ready? Here you go. Sales, service. Okay. Now the service is the part we love doing, right? We're good at, we could do it in our sleep. We're gifted. We've put time and money maybe into being certified or whatever it is that we, whatever we need to do the do, right? We don't like the sales part because it feels, but guess what? You don't get to do the service part if you don't do the sales part. So we're talking about how do we do this in a way that doesn't feel weird, doesn't feel pushed or forced, and it really meets people where they are, but it also doesn't have to take a long time. Okay. Who wants to be making more sales in less time and hearing, oh my goodness, you're the one. How do I pay you? Right? That's the problem that we want to have, is that so many people want to be served. Right? And so that we have a problem on that end, not on where are all the people? Okay. So let's do a quick recap of day 1, just in case you haven't listened to the replay on the private audio feed, or maybe you just need a refresh. We talked about why your conversations aren't producing results, why you're not being seen, why you may be feeling invisible, why you may feel like you're attracting all the wrong people, right? Your picker was broken, but we said it's not. Why you feel like you're spinning your wheels on all the post more, try harder advice. Remember, that is busyness owner activity. That is busyness owner activity, right? I want you to start catching yourself when you're about to do something. Is this busyness owner activity, or is this CEO like momentum that I'm building? Okay, there is a big difference. One is a hamster wheel that just keeps going in circles, round and round and round, doesn't go anywhere. The other one is actually going somewhere. Okay. Then we learned that our picker isn't broken. Oh, thank you for fixing that on there. Our picker isn't broken, and neither is your clock. Okay. You don't need to post more, and you don't need more time, and you don't need to be a different person. You just need to invest your time in the right place, in the right way, showing up with the right mindset, right? CEO mindset is clarity and confidence, so that you are seen and you are drawing in those best fit buyers. And that's where we ended yesterday, was like, who is your best fit buyer? I hope that you're coming in. I'm going to let you share some wins in just a second. I hope you're coming in today thinking about her, not the people that told you no, that weren't your best fit buyers. But if there was a best fit buyer who told you no, I want you to get really curious about why. Somebody that you really thought like, gosh, Lissa, when I go through all this stuff we talked about yesterday, she needs this, she wants this, she can afford it, but she's not ready to invest. I don't get it. Get curious about it. Because again, it doesn't mean there's 2 parts to it. Our part, right? Well, there's 3 parts. Our part, their part, God's part, right? So maybe it's something that we are doing or not doing. There very well could be that, but it very well could be that she's just in a season of life that she just doesn't have the bandwidth for one more thing. And you are just that one more thing right now. Even though you are what could give her the bandwidth back, she just can't see it, okay? So don't make it mean something about you, right? But get curious. Or maybe even go and have a conversation. Say, hey, I've loved our conversations. I've loved getting to know you. It feels like we're really aligned. It feels like you would love to jump in and do this. I'm just curious. Like, can you tell me more? Like, just be curious. I actually got to have a conversation yesterday with somebody who randomly found me on the internet. And we've been talking for months, and not just like casual conversations. Like, we've actually had really deep conversations, and yet it just has never been the right time until yesterday. Right? Like, but what would have happened if I didn't kind of be patient with her and curious with her and continuing to reach out, even if sometimes I didn't hear back in this being known part of the relationship. Right? And now it was at a time where, okay, let's do this. Right? So that's where we want to get with you guys, right? So that you are being known and knowing, and that way it's going to move to be the one. So yesterday, your challenge was to take your be seen statement, first of all, to write it, right? And then to go and share it. And I challenge you to share it in 3 different places. Start putting it out there. Guess what? You're probably going to change it and tweak it and adapt it anyway. So it may not, look exactly like it did when you first wrote it down, and that's okay. That's how you get clearer. I had a one-on-one with somebody afterwards yesterday, and we talked about hers, and then we talked about how do we kind of even make this more tangible for her? How do we put different parts of this in her language so it doesn't sound pie in the sky, but it actually sounds like, oh my goodness, like I actually need and want that. And wow, there's somebody who can help me with that. Like, where have you been all my life? So I would love to hear if one or two people want to unmute, just raise your hand. Let me go ahead and put it so that I can see everybody. I would love to hear a win, whether it was a tangible win that you heard back from a best fit client and you're like, oh my goodness, right? Or it was just like, you know what? I have more clarity about who I am and how I want to be seen, or where I want to be seen, or who my best fit buyer is. Are there one or two people who are on live who want to unmute and just share something? Or maybe it was something you were thinking through. There was some good conversation in the community. So here's a reminder. Go over into the community where we're talking about these things afterwards. And I love the fact that one of you kind of put some questions in there. And she's like, hey, we talked about this. It made me think about this. And we kind of processed through that over there. So I'll be quiet. Who wants to share just a quick little something?
I'll share.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy.
I've been working on my client journey for a while, but yesterday after this, I was inspired to really speak because I feel like there are within the journey, there are different people that could come in, right? So I sat down and made client avatars for every step of the journey, which I'm a visual learner. So I think if I can give her a name and know exactly what she's looking for, then when I create content, I can keep her specifically in mind and speak to her. So
Yes.
I'm thinking that will help me.
Yeah, I love that, right? You're getting clarity on who is that best fit person, right? And as like one of the things, so Kathy's in my CEO Impact program, and we're working on our client journeys right now, right? And so one of the things, Kathy, that we'll be talking about, and I think this will be good for you to think about, is are there really all different people? And there may be that you've got different, like Danielle and I did a one-on-one yesterday, and she's got like two tracks. She has this person that, needs this kind of service. And so it is different from these people. But yet we also discovered there was some overlap and there was some way to like bring those people in. So yeah, it's going to be based on your specific business model. So good. Somebody else want to share a win, an aha, something that kept you up last night? Who actually went and shared their BC statement somewhere? Even if it was just with your best friend. Like maybe you didn't put it anywhere public. That's okay. Maybe you wrote it in your journal. Like that's a win, right? Like I want you to start celebrating like, okay, I'm doing something. I'm thinking, right? And now we're going to start moving into that second step, right? The be known. This is where we're going to start guiding conversations with the people that just found us and saw us and are like, ooh, I like you, right? Towards how we can serve them, right? But there has to be this in between where those best fit buyers get to know you and trust you and see that you are the one to help them solve whatever this is, right? Or to give them whatever this thing is that they want. We don't want to get stuck in the friend zone. How many of you have gotten stuck in the friend zone, either in a relationship or in business, right? Yeah. And that ends up wasting a lot of time. And it's really frustrating as a business owner. And it's also really frustrating if you are on the receiving end too. Like nobody wants to be stuck in the friend zone. Like let's define the relationship, right? Tomorrow will be a little bit more define the relationship conversation. But today is we got to do this part before we can actually do that. Okay. So before we go any further, let's go to the one who knows us completely, right? The one who already knows everything about our days and trust it to him. Lord, we just thank you for the time in front of us. Lord, I thank you for these best fit buyers that you have not only put in our minds, but you've put on our hearts. And I thank you for those that you have called us to serve. And I pray that as we work on the sales piece of things, and maybe are having the doubts or the fears or the I don't want to be salesy, slimy, whatever's come up in our head, that you will remind us of the service that you've called us to do, and that we will see this part of it as serving them so that we can fully serve them in the way that you've equipped us to. And so we just ask that you'll give us clarity and focus today. Help us to hear what we need to hear and then do what we need to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. Okay. We're going to start in scripture because I want to make sure that we're always going to what the Lord says first, especially what he says about us. So today is Hosea 6, verse 3, which says this: let us know. Let us press on to know the Lord. His going out is sure as the dawn. He will come to us as the showers, as the spring rains that water the earth. Right? And I want you to think about that. Like, God has fully known us from the beginning, right? And he allows us to know him, right? It's such a beautiful thing that the God of the universe, Psalm 139 tells us that before even one of our days came to be, he already saw every single one of them, right? And he knew everything about us. He knew every word before it would come out of our mouth. He knew every thought before we would actually think it. He knew every step before we would actually take it, right? And so we are known by him before we ever knew him, right? And I love that. And he's also built in us because we're made in his image. Romans 1:20 tells us there's something in all of us that knows him at some level too, right? And yet there's a difference because not everyone presses on to know the Lord, right? It's like the Lord, like our Creator has put that something in our hearts, right? So anybody can look and go, okay, there's something that I'm feeling, but there is this pressing in to know the Lord, right? And that is because knowing God isn't just a one-time moment of walking an aisle or saying a prayer, right? It is a lifelong pursuit. Yes, we are born with an awareness of our Creator, but our lives are shaped to look more like him as we walk with him, right? And as we learn his heart and as we hear his word and as we follow his steps, because we are discovering who he is in deeper ways over time. That is the way that I want to always live, right? Pressing on to know the Lord. I recently heard a quote that literally stopped me in my tracks. Are you ready for this? If you truly walk with Jesus, your theology is going to get messed with. If you truly walk with Jesus, your theology is going to get messed with. Why? Not because truth changes, but because our understanding and our knowing and our relationship deepens as we walk through life and press on to know him more and more, right? Like you may think you know someone and then you see them in a new situation, you see them face a new challenge and you're like, wow, I didn't know that about you, right? But I think the same thing is true in our walk with the Lord. Again, he doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever, but our understanding and our knowledge of him is always growing if we're seeking to know and understand him more. And we may think we know him, but oftentimes we're doing what the Pharisees did, right? We're putting God in the box of where it feels safe, right? And then we see God say or do something that feels a little outside of that comfort zone. And we're like, wait, right? So if you walk with Jesus, your theology is going to get messed with. And that's a good thing, right? Because just when we think we know him, he reveals more. And just when we feel certain, he invites us closer, right? My grandfather was so wise and he loved the Lord. And he used to call this a healthy dissatisfaction because he never believed that he had arrived at knowing God fully on this side of heaven. And he didn't want to ever arrive at that place. Right? And so I loved getting to watch his faith was so alive and curious and growing and serving literally up until the day that he met Jesus face to face. And that is what pressing on to know is really about. And that is true in our faith. It's true in our relationships. And it's even true in our business, right? Because being known doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we choose to press in and stay present and be curious, right? And allow the relationship and the depth to grow one intentional step at a time. So let's pick back up our story with Lindsay, my cousin, for a minute. If you weren't here yesterday, she has re-entered the dating scene and I have permission to share the story. In fact, I messaged her last night. I'm like, hey, Lindsay, it was really fun talking about you today. Give me some updates, okay? So I got some new juice. Okay, so Lindsay, is in her mid-30s, and she's re-entering the dating scene now. And so she didn't just throw up a dating profile and hope for the best. She's also not sitting on her couch expecting Mr. Wonderful to show up on her doorstep, right? She's being intentional. She went and hired a matchmaker. And if you need a link, let me know. She then built out this really detailed dating strategy and then she built out her profiles, right? And she is reflecting who she actually is and who she's looking for. She knows who that best fit guy is, right? Because she doesn't want to attract everyone, but she wants to attract the right someone. And so she even has some like versions of a be seen statement on her profile because she wants to make sure that she is bringing in the right people because she doesn't want to waste her time on people who don't care about what things she cares about. Okay, so this literally she just got started with this like 2.5 weeks ago. Okay, so fast forward a couple of weeks, guess what? She's getting responses, right? So people are seeing it, guys are seeing it, and they're swiping or liking. I don't even know how it works, but okay. But here's the part that matters for today. She didn't jump at the first person who liked her profile, right? She didn't assume that a match meant, oh, the match, right? Now I'm done, right? And she definitely did not skip straight to like, this must be the one, right? Because we all know how that could go. Okay, so but what did she do? She has started over the last couple of weeks investing time wisely in knowing and being known. In knowing and in being known. So she's been messaging a few different guys. She's done a couple of video calls. She actually went on a date and told me last night she's going to go on a second date with that guy. And so each step is a deeper experience of getting to know each other, right? And letting herself be known. And she's stepping into all of it with discernment because she's not looking to just waste time, right? She's actually looking for a real relationship. She's paying attention. She's noticing how it feels. She's asking better questions. One guy, He's like 37, still living in his parents' house, and he's got all these dreams for ministry. And she's like, I don't get it. If you have all these dreams to do all this stuff, why are you still living in your parents' basement? That kind of makes me wonder, right? So she's going to ask him a question when she talks to him next, right? Because she's not rushing this. She's not forcing. She's not trying to jump into anything too soon. And this is exactly what we need to be doing, because so many business owners get tripped up, right? Because once you pass the be seen phase, you just want to jump to the be the one phase. But guess what? We have to have the be known phase in between with our best fit buyers, not with everyone, right? So we're going to talk about a filter today. Okay. And here's the thing. I had this conversation with some CEOs a couple weeks ago. This part that we're talking about today doesn't have to be awkward. Okay. This part where we're talking about today does not have to be awkward. Yes, maybe the be seen feels a little awkward because you're putting yourself out in some room, whether it's a social media platform, whether it's a networking event, whether it's an in-person conference, whether it's, you stepping out to be a guest on a podcast. I mean, it can be a little awkward. Are there even people out here who even want what I have to offer? But what we're talking about today, these are the women or men who have already raised their hand. They already said, hey, I need what you offer. They've already said, I want a solution. They already said, like, I know this is going to cost me something. And they're open to investing, right? Or at least learning more about what that looks like. Okay, so I want you to know this is safe, right? This is not like, I don't even know who you are on the internet and if you even really need, want, can't afford, and are ready to invest, right? We're still figuring out some of those last pieces, but they have already raised their hand and they've already met your criteria, right? So what my cousin Lindsay's doing is if they don't meet the criteria, and they never even make it past the first phase, right? And she's not wasting time to get to know them if they're not passing that part first. Okay, so think about this is the person that already has raised their hand. And hopefully that will make you go, oh, well, why wouldn't I then start having some engagement with them, right? And not just waiting and hoping. Okay, so just like in dating, interest alone does not equal readiness, right? Just interest isn't going to be enough. Okay, so, and here's the thing. This phase is not about convincing. It's about creating the right experiences. There can be mutual clarity, right? Are you for me? Am I for you? Okay. It's giving you opportunities to build trust in spaces where you can share more and times when you both can discern, is this a fit? And when this part is missing, that's when business starts to feel confusing or frustrating or salesy and slimy, right? And you get stuck in the friend zone. Okay. Which brings us to the real problem that we need to talk about as CEOs. Ready to talk about the problem? Okay, so if you're on your sheet, we've just talked about let us press on to know. And that problem is so many of us get stuck in the friend zone, right? Someone finally responds, they reply to the email, they DM you back, they click the link, right? We talked about yesterday, proof of life, and you're like, oh my goodness, right? And it feels like it's a really big deal. But the problem is sometimes we swing to one of two extremes. On the one side, we get so excited that someone's showing interest, finally, right, that we jump all over them. We over-explain, we over-educate, we overshare, we send the long voice memo, the 5 paragraphs, the full backstory, right? That's like a first date when you're already talking about your childhood wounds and your 5-year plan before the appetizers even arrive, right? They're probably going to be like, I need to go to the bathroom, and they may not be coming back. Okay, but then there's the other side of the spectrum where we freeze. I'm so afraid of like saying the wrong thing or sounding salesy or pushy or like, so then I like almost say nothing at all, or I tiptoe, or I like soften every sentence. I'm really careful not to look like I'm desperate or I want something, right? And then I'm like, oh, I'll leave it up to automation and just wait for her to come to me. How many of you are like, yeah, she's just going to let me know when she's ready? Because heaven forbid she thinks like, oh, Lissa actually wants me to buy something. Hello, if you are here today, I am fleshing out exactly what step 2 looks like. Hopefully by us being together, you're getting to know me. I'm getting to know you as you're sharing things, right? And you're getting to see like, is Lissa the person who can help me with this thing that I am wanting to see some progress on? Okay. But so many of us, we get the internal panic of like, I don't want to seem like I'm trying to sell something. But then there's also a third trap, right? Kind of somewhere in the middle. That's that friend zone, right? You're having conversations. They like you. They're starting to trust you. They tell you things. And what happens? Guess what? You become their free coach. Anybody ever fallen into that? And you're always giving advice. You're their sounding board. You're their encourager, but it never moves forward. In dating terms, that'd be like you're the emotional support friend, but not the romantic option, right? Which is fine if you're just looking for a friendship, but not if you're looking for that kind of relationship. So what we have to do is understand the real issue under all of this is, I'm calling you out again, is clarity in knowing and being known. in knowing and being known, right? They don't have clarity about who you are, what you do, or how you help them. And you don't have clarity about what they actually need, want, or are ready for. So we need to figure out how to figure that out, right? And let's be honest, we should be grateful that we do not have to knock on doors anymore, right? Is anyone grateful that you do not have to pick up the phone and cold call just to get somebody to talk to? Like, I've been there, done that. I had a job in college for 2 weeks. Thankfully, my dad said, go ahead and quit. I will pay for your apartment. Where I was from the hours of like 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. calling for Olin Mills, which was that portrait studio. So in the middle of people's dinner hours, I am calling. They have not filled out something that said, yes, I want pictures. I'm just randomly going off a list of phone numbers that I'm handed. Talk about like really, really frustrating and lack of sales, right? So, but now we're in this digital age where I think the pendulum has swung the other way, right? It's very tempting to hide behind the passive systems, to hide behind the automations and assume they're going to read the emails. They're going to watch the training. They're going to figure it out. They're going to decide when they're ready. They're going to let me know. I'm just going to say that's a lot of faith to put in an algorithm, and even more faith to put in someone's attention span. Do you know that right now they're saying our attention span is shorter than a goldfish? And I don't know how they figured that out, how long a goldfish's attention span is, like 6 seconds. But yeah, people are just busy and distracted. So they may want what you have, but they're just right all over the place. So if you want to go the passive route, you can, if you have a lot of time or a lot of volume. You have to have a lot of time or a lot of volume, a lot of people coming in to get that percentage of people to actually say yes. Most of us do not have hundreds of thousands of people in our audience. I don't even want to work towards that. Do you? Like, I don't even want to build hundreds of thousands of people that I have to try to connect with, right? And I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in pouring a ton of time and a ton of money into chasing scale just to get a couple yeses. So that's why I'm teaching you how to do this as a steward of not only the time you have, but also the relationships, the people that God's already brought to your world in the be seen stage, so that we can be hearing yes more often, right? And we're not going to be over the top, and we're not going to be too passive, and we're not going to be stuck in the friend zone in between. Okay, so this is what we're going to solve today. But I want to warn you guys with something. Nothing that you learn this week is going to be a long-term fix to your problem of converting more leads more often into sales if you don't have CEO focus. And that's why at the very beginning of this, I said, turn off your notifications, turn off those rings, dings, pings, close the tabs, right? Like, because when we don't know, like, what am I focusing on? And then what's my roadmap to get there? And then we don't have people that are like reminding us of that when we do start, kind of getting our blinders off. We're going to be off in the weeds, and we're going to wonder why we're not getting towards the results. And that's why I've been sharing with you guys this week about CEO focus. Like, this is the container in which we do the thing. We get a one thing focus. I'll drop the link in the chat. It's just redeemhertime.com/focus. And then Wendy, I'll let you just grab those links as we go on, right? We get a one thing focus. What am I focusing on? So if you are specifically saying, Lissa, I want to move the needle in my visibility. Okay, great. Let's decide what is either the one person we're looking for, or the one platform we're going to be on, or the one, type of content that we're going to focus on. Then we build out a 12-week growth map. Okay, if I'm here and I want to be here in 12 weeks, not 12 months, how do I start walking this out with doable timelines that are going to get me one step at a time, right? And then we build in this weekly accountability, because if you're like most of us, hello squirrel, hello shiny objects, hello distraction, hello discouragement, hello doubt, hello, right? All the things, okay? So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and click that link there. You can sign up and get 2 free months when you do the annual option, or you can do the $97 a month option. And I shared this yesterday. If you join us by next Tuesday, I don't even know what the date is. So it's like, what, the 18th maybe, or something like that. You're going to get access to a live Be Mine implementation session. We are going to walk step by step through the three phases that we're talking about this week, so you can actually refine this for your business and start really implementing it. And you're going to get a ton of coaching on that. Okay, so that's if you join us by then. And if you're already a CEO of mine, guess what? You get to come. Okay, so that's the bonus of being in my world. If I do a bonus for somebody else, you get a free ticket. All right. Okay, so here's the shift we want to make today. Okay, ready? Most people don't buy because they're convinced. They buy because they feel known. Okay, but to be truly known takes what? Time. Okay, it is going to cost you time, right? If you want the easy button, if you want the fast track, right? They promise you that. You can go try that, and you come back and let me know how that works. February 17th. Thank you. Okay. Here's an interesting fact that I just ran across that I think speaks right to what we're doing today. The average person needs to spend 10 or more hours interacting with your content before they make a decision. 10 or more hours. That is not because they're slow. It's because they're asking deeper questions. Can I trust her? Does she really get me? Does she even know what I'm dealing with? Can she really help me when nobody else has, right? Or nothing has lasted, right? You've probably been in that moment when somebody says exactly what you're thinking and you're like, wait, how did you know that? Or like, are you in my head? I mean, just like the algorithm does, right? We talk about something and then you see it on your phone and you're like, that's crazy. That's actually a connection, right? Now, we can't read people's minds, but the more that we know our best fit buyer and the more we're seeking to know her individually, then the more she's going to feel like, oh my goodness, right? And this is honestly my hope when you listen to a podcast episode or when you join a workshop like this, that you're like, Lissa, how did you know that? Are you in my head? Did you just see the text that I just sent my business bestie? Did you just hear me say, Lord, I don't know where the people are? Did you just, because I'm not trying to convince you. I'm creating an experience right here and now so that you can get to know me, right? And I get to serve you at some level so you can discern if I'm the one to help you scale not just your time, but your results and your reach and your revenue, right? But we have to have this in-between part, right, of this being known. Every once in a while I have a unicorn that literally goes from like 0 to 60 in like a couple of hours. And I'm like, I don't even know where you came from, but guess what? They still consumed some content over that time. There was some interaction happening, even if it wasn't direct, right, that brought them in. Okay, so this right here is step 2, being known in action. Okay, all right. In dating, this is the phase after the match, right? You don't just keep liking each other's photos, right? You start talking, you start asking questions, you start sharing what feels comfortable, right? And then you see how it feels. But like I said, this is also where a lot of people get tripped up. And so yesterday, it was really fun to talk about some of those faux pas yesterday, right? About maybe some of you were wallflowers, you were ghosters. Remember that list we went through yesterday? So go back and look at yesterday. So today I've got a new top 5. The top 5 most common testing the water faux pas that I see, okay? If you're just testing the water, okay, these might be mistakes you're making that are not letting you really get to know somebody, okay? First one, you're oversharing on the first date move. Okay, somebody finally responds and you're like jumping in, explaining your entire framework, your story, your pricing, your calendar link, woohoo, right? But in business, this turns into overeducating, overwhelming, because trust doesn't build through just information dumps. Even though you think this is all the stuff they need to know to make a decision, it builds through paced connection. So don't be the overshare on the first date person. Okay, now faux pas number 2, I don't want to seem desperate. Right? That's the next faux pas. Like, I just don't want to seem desperate. So you stay really vague. You kind of avoid naming what you do. You don't talk about how much it costs. You just kind of soften your language so much that no one actually really understands how you can help them. I mean, they like talking to you, right? But yeah, in dating, that would feel like somebody is disinterested. In business, like, I think it's just plain confusing, and confused people don't make decisions, right? A confused mind does nothing. So if you are kind of in that, I'm not trying to seem desperate, right, place, then they're probably sensing that and not really even sure what they would do. Or maybe you've landed in the let's just be friends zone, right? You have great conversations. They like you. They keep showing up, but nothing goes anywhere. And they're happy to get support for free, right? Let's be honest, they may not be doing it intentionally, but maybe you're the one who's built in comfort without any direction. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another big one is that, oh, well, they'll figure it out eventually. Right? You assume if somebody really needs help, they're going to read your email. They're going to listen to your podcast. They're going to connect the dots. They're going to click the link and they're going to make a decision all on their own that this is what I need and what we need to do. Right? But let me just tell you, that is actually not discernment. That is avoidance dressed up as strategy because it feels like it's salesy or slimy or risky. Right? And then the last one, everybody's got potential. Right? Like, this is a faux pas. Like, yeah, we treat every conversation like this is the one, right? Even when the signs may be clear that it's not the right person, not the right time, not the right fit, right? And so when they don't respond back, then they don't speak up, and they don't even do anything to what you've already sent to their inbox because, they're just busy and distracted, or they don't even want what you have. You're investing all this time or wasting time trying to explain yourself to people who never were a fit, right? And we call it relationship building, but really it's not. So here's the reframe. Okay, you ready for the reframe? Dating isn't about convincing someone to choose you, right? It's about creating the space to see if you're a right fit for each other. And business works the very same way, right? And here is why it's very important. We can know what to say and when to say it, right? But we need to make sure we're doing it in a way that really allows us to get to know someone. And that is going to come when you first Implement what I call the 3 C's. You are clear, you're concise, and you're compelling. And that could be part of the be seen part, the visibility part, but it's also, I think, going to happen in this be known part, right? You're clear enough to understand, you're concise enough to respect their time, and you're compelling enough to invite them to action, right? When we get into step 3, okay? Especially if there are a lot of other people out in the world doing something similar to what you do, right? This is where we have to show up with conviction. What is it that makes me stand up and stand out and stand apart, right? And this is where somebody's curiosity is going to get piqued. Their understanding is going to grow, and that connection is going to be built as they are starting to see you're not like everybody else. And here's where the faith part comes in, right? Because God uniquely made you the way that he made you to do the thing that you are doing with the people that you are called to do it with, right? And even if there's somebody else on the internet who works with the same type of people or does a similar thing, guess what? They don't do it in the exact same way because they're not you, right? And so you're looking for who are the people that are really going to connect with the way that I'm doing things, okay? When your best fit buyer starts recognizing herself through these experiences, we'll talk about what these look like in just a second here, through these interactions, right? Then your words and your interactions are not feeling awkward and salesy. Here's where selling starts to feel like service. Okay. But like I said, all of this is going to take focus because what's going to happen, right? So many business owners are distracted by all the shiny objects that are going to get them seen, right? And they want to stay over in step 1, right? But they complain about why they don't have step 3 of people actually saying, yes, you're the one, right? And we spend all this time and money chasing the shiny objects and the squirrels that show up on our news feeds or show up in our inboxes, promising this is going to get me more followers or get me more leads or grow my email list. And while there may be some truth to that, the problem is if you're trying to do everything, your results are going to be nothing, right? Because the 3 C's, thank you. You good. See, I love the fact that so many of you jumped in there and you're like, okay, clear, concise, compelling, right? Always check yourself, right? But, and that's part of CEO focus too. If I'm distracted, hello, do you think what's coming out of my mouth is going to make any sense? Is it going to be clear or concise or compelling? No, I'm going to probably drive you in circles and drive you mad. And you're going to be like, I'm out of here. Okay. So we've got to have CEO focus. We've got to know, right? What am I focusing on? How am I going to get there? And how am I going to stay accountable? Because life is going to happen. People are not going to respond. People are going to unsubscribe. I had that conversation with the CEO today. What do we do when somebody unsubscribes, right? Does that mean that they don't want what we want? No, it doesn't mean that, right? So we are going to need other people alongside us. And that's what CEO focus is all about, where we have this really simple plan called the growth mapping method, so that you can see exactly what you're focusing on, how you're getting there, and you've got the support around you to keep you going one step at a time, especially when, you're starting to get a little bit distracted. Okay. And we're going to be kicking some stuff off in the next month I'm super excited about. So you're going to want to join us. Okay. Page 2 is going to get us into action. Okay. So turn over to page 2 of day 2. And we are going to start taking action to be known. Okay. First thing I just want to say, don't make the mistake of treating everyone the same. Okay. Even if they are all your best fit buyers because they met all the criteria that we worked on yesterday. And remember, you're going to keep refining that because you're still getting to know her, right? They are still unique. They may have similar needs and wants. Remember we said a best fit buyer needs and wants what you have to offer, but there may be different reasons why they raised their hands for whatever resource you offered or however they came into your world, right? Or there may be different things about how much they're willing to invest or when they're willing to invest based on all kinds of things. So we can't treat everybody like they're the same and then say, well, nobody's talking to me. Okay. So before you start offering experiences that they don't need or want to get to know you, I want you first to get curious. Okay. CEOs get curious. We get curious when we notice things that we're doing or not doing. We get curious when we notice things that our best fit buyers are doing or not doing, right? We don't just say, oh, it doesn't work. We get curious. Okay. So let's start off with a definition of a qualifying question. Okay. A qualifying question is a question that will help you uncover their need, their want, and their readiness. Their need, their want, and their readiness. Now, don't assume because somebody landed on your email list because they opted in for that thing that they need, want, and can afford and are ready to invest in what you have to offer, right? It could be that they thought it was something that it wasn't, right? Or it could be that, they do have some level of this, but they didn't that not really what, they're really not ready at this level or whatever it is, right? So we need to know what matters most to them right now. What is their biggest pain point? What's their biggest roadblock? What's the problem they're hoping to solve? What's the outcome that they would love to have? Like, this tells us where to start the conversation instead of guessing. How many of you feel like, I don't know what to say next? I know you do, because we've had these conversations, right? This feels really awkward, Lissa. I don't like this. I don't know what to say. Then just ask a question and be curious. Like, that's not assuming anything. That's just me saying, like, I'm curious about this. So I'm gonna give you a couple of examples of some questions that I'm currently using, and I'll drop these in the chat so that those of you who are like visual learners can have them there, because I didn't put them in the guide. Okay, and again, these are just examples. Remember, I gave you permission yesterday to take anything that I share with you and make it your own. Okay, so here are some possibilities. Hey, it's Lissa. You grabbed a free resource to blah, 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 right? Quick check-in. What's hardest for you right now? Is it 1, time, 2, focus, 3, results, or 4, scaling? Right? Super simple, not really hard. It gives them, they don't have to think a whole lot about it, even though they could think a lot about it, but just a really simple, I just respond back with a 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, tells me something about them. Message number 2 is more results focused. Hey, Lissa. Hey, it's Lissa. You downloaded a free resource, blah, blah, blah. I always reference what it was, because guess what? They probably forgot. They probably didn't even go open their inbox. They don't remember who you are and that you are connected to this resource, so don't assume. What would make the biggest difference right now? Better time use or better results from your time? So I'm giving them like an either or. Which kind of result do they want, right? And again, guess what? I do both. So it doesn't really matter what they answer, because ding, 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 I have something for them, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. The last one is maybe there's a seasonal qualifier. This is really good if there's somebody that maybe you've had some conversation with, but now they've kind of dropped off and you're like, I don't even know where they are. Guess what? I've reached out to people with this very question. Hey, quick question. Are you actively growing your business right now, or is it on the back burner? And I've had people say, yeah, like we've been really sick, or yeah, my husband just retired. And so right now this is on the back burner while we're figuring out this new transition, or yeah, we just moved, or, so it helps me to not be like bugging them with things they don't want if they're not even working on it, right? Maybe they've told you something matters to them and you're like, hey, last time we talked or when we first met, you mentioned XYZ. Is that still a priority for you right now? Not, judgment question, just curiosity. Maybe it is, maybe it's not right now because of something else, right? And then you can ask some subsequent questions, okay? So these messages, these questions are supposed to be clear, concise, and compelling, right? They're curious, they're short, and they're invitational. I'm not asking them to buy something or even do something. It's like asking someone on a first coffee date, not a marriage proposal, right? And then once you know where they are, then you can start thinking about where am I going to lead them next, which brings us to our tool today, which are the BE KNOWN Touchpoints. Okay, so what is a BE KNOWN Touchpoint? It is an intentional experience or journey of experiences that help your best fit buyers to experience you so that they can get to know you and you can get to know them. Okay, so it's intentional experience journey that help your best fit buyers experience you so they can get to know you and you can get to know them, right? They're starting to learn about your thinking and your values and your process. And guess what? You're learning the same thing about them. So that way they can decide if you're for them before you even ever have that conversation, right? People don't buy something because they saw you unless you are a household brand name that they're like, oh my goodness, anything that comes out of her mouth, I have to have. Okay, maybe one day we'll be at that place, but probably not. And it surprises me. I'm working with a coach right now she's in the 8 figures, and she says that most people don't know her name. Like for me, when I hear her name, I'm like, okay, I trust anything she says, and you have something new come out, I'm in. I don't even have to know what it is yet. But it surprises me that there are so many people in business who have no idea who she is, right? So she's still having to do this as well, allowing people to experience her, right? And that's what we have to do, especially if we are not at a place where we've got hundreds and thousands of people on our email list. The problem is most business owners assume if somebody joined their list or follows them long enough, they're going to eventually buy, right? But that's like if you exchange numbers with somebody and you never went on a date. Would you ever know if that person was the one? No, right? Visibility without this be no experience just creates familiarity, not trust. Okay, we want to start building trust so that way we can start moving the conversation forward. So I want you to think of this as a filter, not a funnel. Okay, we're all familiar with funnels, right? This is more of a filter, and it may look a little bit different for each person based on how receptive they are, how interactive they are, what they tell you, things like that. But there are essentially 3 different levels. And sorry, this is some content that I created after I did the guide, so you just have to take notes on the side if you want to write these three levels down. I'll give you the 3 levels, and then we'll go back and talk about them. Level 1 is access, like ways that they can get more access to you. They can get closer to you. Okay. That could be a lead magnet. It could be an assessment or a quiz. It could be a private audio feed, right? I want you to think about what's the first way that someone experiences how you think or how you teach or how you help or whatever, AKA your convictions, right? So that they can start getting to know you. So that level 1 is access. How do they get closer? Okay. Level 2 is immersion. How do they start to experience your process or your system? This is really key. In fact, I think I might do a whole training on why you need to have a process or a system, no matter what business model you're in, because people need to see this isn't just some, like vanilla thing. And this isn't just like everything else on the internet that I can find or, at this point, people can go and Google or chat GPT about anything they want, right? So what is your unique signature system or process or things like that, right? So ways that they can experience that might be a live workshop like this, right? You're seeing how do I help take somebody from, I just found you, Lissa, to, oh my goodness, I need to work with you and now is the time. It could be an evergreen training. It could be an audio series. It could be a challenge that you're doing, right? So immersion is a deeper level of, right? We're going deeper from, now I just have this like access level to now I'm starting to get immersed, right? Immersion will build trust faster than time ever will. How many of you have ever tried to learn a language and you're another language, not just English, and you're sitting in the classroom and you like barely get out of kindergarten, phrases with that language. But guess what? You go to that country and I guarantee if you spend a couple of weeks in that country, you will, because of that immersion, your language skills will dramatically increase, right? And you could have spent, how many years? I think I took like 5 years of Spanish and who knows what I could actually say right now, right? But if I went and spent 5 months in the foreign country where they speak Spanish, I would learn so much more because I was immersed, okay? And then level number 3 is direction. And this is really key. Do they know what to do next? Or was it like, oh, wow, that was really nice. Have you guys noticed that I have been seeding throughout our entire experience together that there's something else that you can do after this? There's something that can help you stay focused on what matters and have this growth map of how to get there and have the accountability. It's called CEO focus, right? Like I want to make sure that nobody comes to an experience and is like, okay, that was great. Thanks, Lissa. I don't even know if there's anything else here, but like this was good, right? Thanks for dropping that in there, right? I'm always seeding in direction. Even if it's in a PDF, there's always a, hey, here's your next step, right? Do you have clear next steps? Do you have an invitation, whether it's to apply or to book a call or to buy or whatever it is, right? Do you also tell them, like, put boundaries around who it's for or not for? I think that's really important. People need to know this is not for you if, right? That's actually in the replay email going out today. This is not for you if, right? But it is for you if. Okay, so look at my replay email that's going out later today. Here's the thing. Business owners make the mistake of leaving you hanging. That was a great experience. Wow, that was amazing. Thanks for the challenge. Thanks for the workshop. Thanks for the PDF, but there's no next step, right? But CEOs understand that clarity is kindness to them and to your time, right? We're going to start showing them where to go. So what do we not want to do? And then we're going to start getting some things down on paper. Number 1, bad example. This will not help you be known. Weekly emails with no direction. Now, that does not mean every single email is buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. Sometimes you just want them to respond to a question. Sometimes you want them to join your free community or come to a free workshop or whatever, right? And sometimes maybe you do want them to buy, but like, are you giving them some kind of direction? Because if you're not, chances are they're not taking the next step on their own, right? Or posting value with like no pathway. You're not showing clearly like where this is leading. And they're like, oh, that's great. Thank you. And now I'm on to the next thing. Right? Or hoping people are just going to figure it out, right? This is what will create an audience, but an audience is different from a buyer. Okay. We don't just want people who are like, rah, rah, I love what, Lissa teaches. Okay. And that's great. But I want people who are like, wow, like Lissa's helping me do this in my business. And this is the difference it's making. Okay. So for some good examples might be, thank you, Catherine, for dropping that in there. Like, hey, take this assessment to see where you're stuck, and then I'm going to send valuable content to help them better understand where they are in the roadmap to where they want to be, right? Maybe like, oh, hey, listen to this private audio to understand, how to undo your time management, and then help them implement one piece of what they learned so they can start walking down the road to transformation, right? Or come to this workshop, and on this workshop, I'm going to help you take the next step and come and join us in CEO Focus so we can actually walk this out and make it happen instead of just saying it one more time and not doing it. You see the difference, right? Like we want to be really clear and leading them somewhere. And the good thing is you do not have to start from scratch. Okay? Whew, because right now you're like, Lissa, like this sounds like a lot of work. It's actually not. You probably already have quite a few things already in your toolbox that you can pull out. So that's what we're going to start working on right now. Okay? All right. So when you're looking at your sheet here, step 1 is to list your current resources, assessments, and experiences that can help people get to know you. Okay? What are ways that someone currently can get to know you beyond just I put a post on social, right? Or even just an email. I mean, probably if they are on your email list, they did opt in for something. So I've got 3 categories here. Let me just talk you through them. Then I'm going to put on a song and I'm going to let you kind of like go through, okay, what do I actually have? So the first category is resources. Okay? This could be a PDF, could be a checklist, a guide. It could be a podcast episode. Do not just say, I have a podcast, right? I mean, I can tell somebody, go listen to the Redeem Her Time podcast. They may or may not. I could say, hey, here is a link to episode 390 where I talk about XYZ that I think will help you with this thing you just told me. And I give them the link to that episode. That's going to give them a whole lot more experience, right? Right? Because now I'm directing them to a certain one. Maybe you have a YouTube channel, and so you send them to a direct YouTube video. So those could be resources. Under the assessment category, maybe you have a quiz or some kind of assessment or some kind of an audit, like some way that helps them see where they are in relation to whatever this thing is that you do. Under experiences, again, maybe it's a workshop like this. Maybe you do a masterclass. Maybe it's evergreen. Maybe it's live. Maybe it's an audio series that they can listen to. Maybe it's an audit call. I don't love discovery calls only because who needs to discover something else? Like, can you give me some more value? Why am I going to give you my time for a discovery call? All I know is you're just going to sell me something, right? I'd rather you like, how can you audit where I am in this, right? Or how can you, call it something else that's going to, really give value to them without, giving free value, but then also leading them to that next place. Okay, so I'm going to put on a song called You Already Know. This is a song I've been listening to on repeat these days, and I thought it fit really well with our Be Known theme. I want you to think through, what do I already have? What resources do I already have? Maybe you even want to get really specific about which podcast episodes you think are the go-tos that you're going to want to be pulling out, or which YouTube videos or which checklists. Chances are you've got something. What is your workshop series coming up, or what are the ways, the masterclass that you have, or an audio series that you want to create? And maybe you're going to find some gaps. That's okay. We're going to talk about the gaps after we're done. So it's okay if there are blank spots here, right? But I want us to be able to say what's in my toolkit right now. Okay. And then we're going to come back and talk about what do we do with them and how do we map this out? Any questions around what assignment I'm giving you to do here for the next 3 minutes or so? If you have a question with that, drop it in the chat. What resources, what assessments, what experiences do you already have? And if there's something you would like to do, you can go ahead and jot it down while you're thinking of it, because maybe you've been like, hey, I've been wanting to, so just get it out of your head and on paper.
Uncertain, and my weary heart can't take much more surprise. I wish there was a point on the horizon, something I could see with my own eyes. I need to tell you that I'm scared. I feel completely unprepared, and nothing's what it was 2 weeks ago. But you already know. You already know everything I'm scared of, everything I hope. You hold my tomorrow, and all tomorrow holds. You already know. I can't seem to find the easy answers. Someday I hope the suffering makes sense. I just need to know that you are with me, even if you keep me in suspense. talk so much these days because I have so much to say. You stay and listen to me closely, even though you already know. You already know everything I'm scared of, everything I hope. You hold my tomorrow and all tomorrow holds. You already know whatever I'm feeling, whatever is coming, whenever the ending, you're already there. You go before me, you go behind me. Wherever I'm going, you're already there. You already know. You already know everything I'm scared of, everything I hope. You hold my tomorrow and all tomorrow holds. You already know. You already know.
Love that song. Not only are we known, but he already knows every day and every step. So that's J.J. Heller. She kind of keeps popping up in my playlists because of other songs that I like. So anyway, all right. So hopefully you're like, oh, I actually do already have some things that I could, incorporate as a touch point. So if somebody answers that question, that qualifying question, right, you have some place to send them, and again, this doesn't have to be totally scripted, you guys. So if somebody says to that one question, like, hey, I'm working on focus, then guess what? I can go, okay, what do I have in my toolkit? What might be a good next step for them? What might be a good exposure? What might be a good something, right? And then I can be like, hey, I've got this thing. Here's how it's going to help you. Would you like me to send you the link? Again, super invitational, not like crazy. I have to like overthink it. I don't have to have this all scripted out or like, is she going to be offended or blah, 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 right? And just offer it based on what she just told me. Here's something that can give her, another experience, right? Okay, so once you identify what you already have, right? I would love for you to do this right now in the chats. I want you to list your maybe 2 or 3 favorites, like your go-to Be Known touch points that you have. That you're like, I think this is one, because we don't need to have a bazillion, okay? But it is nice to have a couple, and then over time, you can start building them in. Okay, so what are your maybe top 2 or 3 that you're like, okay, these are going to be my main go-tos that I'm going to start with? Go ahead and drop those in the chat. I want to see what kinds of things are coming up for you. And then as you're doing that, I want you to think about, are there any gaps? First of all, do I have too many options? If so, narrow it down, okay? You don't have to have everything on the, like everything, but like narrow it down to what feels feasible. Or maybe you're looking at it going, I don't really have enough. I only have like 1. Okay, well then how could we create another 1 or 2? Or maybe you're looking at it going, okay, this is okay, but it's not really clear, compelling, and concise. It's not really conviction focused. It's not really converting. Okay, so again, right now we're just noticing. I want you to think about the 3-level filter. Do I have things that are giving them more access to me? Do I have things that are immersive, right? Or is everything too much too soon, right? Is there kind of like a way for them to stair step, or is it like you go from 0 to 60 and hello, I hope you like me because you're going to spend the next 3 hours with me, right? Is there a clear next step on what you're sending them on it directly? And then also, of course, as you follow up about that, you're going to be, asking about something related to what you had sent them. And then you're going to be sharing a next step, right? Or do you give them too many steps? How many of us have made that mistake? Well, if you want this, click here. If you want this, click here. If you want this, click here. And you're like, I'm just giving them options. Remember, a confused mind does nothing, right? So be very clear. This is your next step. Give them 1 action step to take, right? And if for some reason, in their situation, this is actually not the next action step for you, because I'm actually going to recommend this over here, then you just do that on a personal level, right? So I love some of these things. Okay, that we have or that we want to have. Could be either, Lorian. We're starting with what you already have, okay? Because I want you to know, like, you could start doing this today. In fact, I'm going to give you an assignment here in about 2 minutes. And it is going to be to reach out to somebody and offer them, ask a question, and then have one of these things in your toolkit that then you can share with them as a Be Known touch point. Okay, so podcasts. I'm just going to see what else is popping up here as you guys are typing. Webinars, good. Podcast episodes and email devotionals, good. And specifically, if you can get really specific, so like Kathy, like, yes, they're going out to your whole list, but if you're talking to a specific person and they mention something, how can you be like, oh, I just did a devotional on that in the email. Let me send you a copy. Let me copy and paste it. Or here's however you can link to the email that got sent out, because you don't know for sure that they even saw it or read it or whatever, right? In process of creating an evergreen email challenge. Yes. Also have a year-end guide. Okay. Yes. And it could be, I love thinking about things that could be evergreen. So Danielle had done an email challenge when she and I did a one-on-one yesterday. I was like, how can we make it evergreen? Like, it was really fun to play off of the Valentine theme, but how can we make this something that somebody could access any time of year? So you're not having to create a new one every single month. Right. So we came up with a way to kind of tweak it just a little bit and get them going that way. So if you can make things evergreen, great. And then you can sprinkle in the timely stuff. A webinar and a quiz. Love it. Again, think what's simple, what can I do right away? And what are maybe something I want to work towards. Lead magnet, short recorded webinar, PDF, good. An evergreen video and workbook. Yes, I love that. If you are doing some kind of a PDF, I love doing a quick little coaching video and linking it. You can just put a QR code on the front of it, or you can just put a link. Even if it's just like a 5-minute thing of just them seeing you before they go into whatever this thing is, and you giving them, a couple pointers and then inviting them to the next step out loud, that will get a whole lot more traction than just, here's the PDF, right? Be like, hey, there's a little mini coaching video in there. Hey, I've got a special invitation for you, or an extra little bonus, or whatever you want in there. So reflexology, infrared sauna with chromotherapy. Yes. And so Annette, you're going to have to think about, how do you get people into that place? Like, there's probably going to have to be something more than just they're coming out there, some way that they start experiencing you so that they want to come in to your actual office to get those services. So let's start thinking about what would go in between from when they first see you and are like, I don't even know what this is, especially because you and I talked, not everybody understands what you do and why they need it. Right. So you have a little bit of maybe some educating, but we don't want to over-educate. Choices between virtual and in-person sessions. Okay. A phone call session. Yes. So offering a call is a great thing. And again, think about different levels, right? Do you want the first thing somebody does to have to book a call? That's kind of asking a lot. How can I give them something they can consume on their time before they decide if it's worth giving you your time? Right. So think about like different layers of that filter. PDF for list of course platform criteria. Okay, good. Yeah. So we're getting ideas going. Okay. And again, don't overthink it. Right now for today, we're going to start with what you already have. And guess what? If you have nothing, you could literally this afternoon go on Canva and do up a quick checklist, and boom, in 30 minutes, you've got something. So don't overthink it. And yes, would it be really nice if there was like, a nurture sequence and blah, blah, blah? Yes, but don't worry about that. Okay. All right. The next thing that we're going to do, and this is going to kind of start fitting into your homework, right, is to start drawing out your Be Known Touchpoint map. Okay, I don't know if you're like me. How many of you are visual learners? You're like, gotta see it. Kathy already said, I'm visual. Okay, so Kathy, I know you're gonna wanna do this, right? So like, you draw the map, right? Start with that first tier. Where is she coming in? What's that first experience? Maybe it's just one thing that everybody kind of comes into one thing, and then from there they can, go into a couple different things. Maybe they can come in from several different, avenues, and then from there it kind of, streamlines into, more of a singular place. But start kind of mapping it out, right? So if they come in here, what would be a great next step? Now, again, this is just to have some kind of a map on paper, but you're going to then pay attention to what they're telling you to decide, like, is this the way I'm going to have them follow this? Or is there something else that I'm going to pull over? And you may not even have it on your list right now, but you may be having a conversation with somebody and they mention something. You're like, oh, I've actually got something related to that. Let me go grab that and send the link to you. So it may not even be on your list, but I want you to start mapping out, even if it's just a very simple, step 1, step 2, step 3, guess what? Somebody doesn't have to consume all 3 steps. There are people who consume the first thing and they're like, I'm in, you're the one, let's go, right? But there are some people who need step 2, step 3, and there are some people who are going to need step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, that's why we want to kind of have some options, and almost kind of like, you could kind of make it like, do you guys remember like Choose Your Own Adventure books back in the day? You'd like get to the end of that chapter and it would be like, okay, if you want to go in the door on the right, then turn, to this chapter or this page. And if you want to go in the door on the left, then go over here, right? So it could be like, okay, well, like from here, they could go in one of 2 directions. And so I get to kind of choose based on my interaction with them, where might be a good next place for them to go if they still need another touch point. Again, it's not the have to, it's the what do they need, right? Now, I do want to mention this because this is what Kathy and I were talking about in the community. This is where it's really helpful if you have more than just their email. Okay, it's really helpful if you have more than just their email. On every opt-in form that I create, I also put phone number spots, but I do not make it required. But what I find is a lot of people will give their phone number, even if it's not required. If it's required, they may or may not give it. And so, I don't want to like lose the whole thing because they didn't want to give their phone number. I get it, right? But like, if you have another way to connect with them, can you find them on social and then you can DM them, right? Even if like they're on your email list, guess what? You have their email. You could literally write an email to them, like a personal one. You could do a little video. You guys have probably gotten a video from me, right? I do videos all the time, or I do an audio, right? And I send it to you and it's like, oh, wow, Lissa's actually like talking to me. This is not just like everybody on the internet that she's sending this to, right? So if you have other ways you can connect with people, it's going to make this process easier than just if you're like, I don't even know any other way to get in touch with them. Right? But even if you only have their email, you can send a personal email in addition to whatever they're getting automatically. Right? And this is where we go into the whole Hello to Let's Go system. So we're not going to get into that on this workshop, but I just want you thinking about what are my Be Known touch points? Right? And then I teach you when we work on the Hello to Let's Go system, we did a workshop on that back in November. How do you actually then have a cadence and a rhythm for when you're reaching out to people and when you're following up with people so that you don't drop the balls, right? And lose the leads and, have them fall into no man's land. Most leads die on people's email lists. We spend all this time and money trying to build our list. How many of you have said, I want to build my list this year? I want to see a show of hands. How many of you want to build your list this year, whether it's your email list, subscribers, attendees, registrants? Great. But if you don't do other things with them after they come on your list, it's not going to go anywhere. Guess what? If you registered for this workshop, whether you showed up live, whether you showed up on the replay, you are in a special place on my Hello to Let's Go board where I know that you have opted in, and I even mark if you show up to a day live. So I know you actually, I don't know for sure if you just registered, if you even consumed any of the content, right? And that's fine. I get it. I've done that before too. I've signed up for a workshop and I never show up and I never listen to the replay. But now, right, like I'm going to be intentional about following up with you. I'm going to be intentional about finding out which of the faux pas are you creating, right? Which of the, things do you need to add to your touch points? Like there's going to be ways that I can then continue to move the conversation based on something that you've raised your hand on or based on something you've consumed or experienced and things like that. Does that make sense? So that's why it's going to be really important, not only that you know what you're going to offer them, but then the next level step that we're not going to get into on this workshop is, and how do I actually have the time and the bandwidth to follow up with these people? And how do I actually track that so I don't lose them, right? How many of us have done that? Like we've got all these people come in from a summit or a workshop or something, and then we kind of have a scrap of paper somewhere, and then like it gets lost, and then it's kind of like, So, okay, ready for your CEO to do? Okay. No one has given you the phone number yet. That's okay if they don't give it to you, right? But again, you do have an email, so can you just send them an individual email? And I would say if you have a way to connect to them on social, try going over there, liking some stuff on their profile and sending a DM. Again, you can't make it, and some of it's going to be volume too, Kathy. So if you only have like 10 people coming in and nobody gives you your phone number, but if you have 100 people that came in, then you're going to get some phone numbers. Like you're going to get people that are that are doing those things. So we want to try to make it as personal so that we can actually do the Be Known touch points as personally as possible and not hope that they are going to find them. Okay, here's your CEO to do. Here's why there are 3 little checkboxes at the bottom of this, okay? I want you right now to write down the names of 3 people who you know are your best fit buyers. So you have a pretty good inkling that they are, okay? Maybe you don't know 100%, but they've already made it past that first filter, or they're in my world for a reason, and I can see that they actually have some interest level or need level in what I'm doing. Okay, I want you to write their name down, so 3 of them. And I want you to write next to them what a touch point is that you are going to offer them. So a who and a what. And this is not going out to your whole email list. This is not going out to everyone who registered for that workshop, right? I want you to pick 3 specific people, and I want you to start thinking about people as people and not just, a whole segment of your audience. So 3 people, okay? Maybe you can invite them to a live or a workshop or an evergreen experience or something in your community. Maybe you share a private audio or an assessment or a resource. Maybe you don't even know for sure we're there and you just need to ask the qualifying question first. Then maybe you start there, right? Like I want you to identify 3 people that have raised their hand in some way already, and you are now going to pick up that conversation. I always say, don't leave the ball in their court, right? Don't assume they will reach out to me if they're ready or if they want something. They probably just didn't actually think about it since the last time you interacted, or since the last time they saw you in their inbox, or since the last time they consumed your content, or whatever it was. So we always take the initiative until somebody says, thanks, but no thanks. I really don't think I ever need, want, or can afford, or am willing to invest in this, and you can take me off your list. Of course, then happy to do that, and let me know if that ever changes, right? Okay, but here's what's going to happen. When you have Be Known Touchpoint experiences, you are going to multiply your time, right? Because in these experiences, it's going to start answering questions for them, right? Instead of having to have one-on-one conversations with everybody, right? And doing all this busy work, we're going to be creating these intentional, measurable steps so that it's just moving the conversation along. No more, I don't know what to say next. Just get curious, ask a question, offer a touch point. That's all you're doing, right? And then following up with them about that touch point, and then see like, okay, what makes sense here? Does it feel like they're ready for the pop the question? Come back tomorrow. I'm going to teach you how to know when is the right time to pop the question. Like, are you actually ready to do this thing, right? In the meantime, you're going to be protecting your time and your sanity by taking the time to get to know people and to be known, right? And by not leaving things up to chance or an algorithm or things like that. Okay? So, and again, what we are doing inside CEO Focus is we are helping you to actually do the thing, right? Because for me, I was always spinning my wheels, okay? When I was a business owner, before I developed the growth mapping method that we use inside CEO Focus, I was always losing track of leads, or it would only get like so many times. I had like this piece of paper and it had like 42 spots. And so eventually we get to the point where like that thing was so ragged and torn, and I had written so many little notes in there was no more space, and there's so much time had passed, and so I just kind of file that one and start the next one, right? And never go back to those people because I'm like, well, I don't know, I guess maybe they don't want what I'm offering. I was doing a different business at the time, right? But now, like all this time would go by, right? And that would feel awkward to reach out. Like now, like I've got a system because I know what my focus is, and I've got a plan for how I'm doing it, and I've got accountability built in to keep me on track, right? Because I've got CEO Focus, right? Here's how we have the step-by-step system that's going to actually move the needle, that's going to create measurable results. It's not just going to give us like, where is everybody and why is nobody, want to work with me? Well, let's get into the weeds of what that's actually going to take, but do it in a simple and sustainable way that's going to make that happen. Okay. And then, like I said, if you join us by next Tuesday, you're going to get to come to that special implementation session. We're going to flesh out all the stuff we're talking about this week. How do you be seen? How do you be known? And then tomorrow we're talking about how do you be the one? So if you're interested in checking that out, redeemhertime.com/focus. If you have more questions or you want to talk more, you can message me whatever way you and I have been connecting, whether that's through the community, whether that's via text, whether that's via email, whatever way you want to reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer questions and hop on the phone if we need to do that as well. Okay, let's quick recap what we did today. Okay. We said, okay, we talked about why your leads may not be converting. Maybe you are being seen, right? But people aren't saying you're the one. The problem is that in-between part, right? Either we're jumping on them too fast and over-explaining and overwhelming, or we're so afraid of being pushy that we freeze, or we end up somewhere in the middle in the friend zone, right? Assuming they'll just figure it out on their own, okay? This is costing you time. This is costing you clarity. It's costing you opportunities. It's costing you money, okay? So we learned that people actually need experiences to get to know you, just like in dating. Right? And so we can help guide relationships and conversations that are clear, concise, compelling, so that best fit buyers can see themselves in what we're doing and what we're talking about. And this is where selling becomes like serving. And so you started to think about, what are my Be Known touch points? What are the intentional experiences, right? And what could be a potential journey that can lead people right through this space where they can tend to get lost in no man's land, where they're getting to know me and I'm getting to know them, right? They're seeing how I think, what my process is like, so we can start seeing, like, are we at a point where we can have a conversation? And then guess what? Like, you're going to love tomorrow, because when you've done the work of step 2 and didn't skip over this, step 3 is easy. Like, it's not like I'm doing a full-on, I used to do 40-minute sales calls. I don't do those anymore because my Be Known touch points do that for me. And my Hello to Let's Go reach outs do that for me. And so by the time, half the time, nobody needs a phone call to get on a $97 a month program, right? That's a no-brainer, right? I don't have to check my bank account. I don't have to check with my husband. I don't have to check anything. Like, why would I not? I spend $97 a month on so many things that aren't going to move the needle. Why wouldn't I invest it in something that's going to, right? So, so many people come in that way, but even if they don't, generally it's a 10-minute call. Like, it's not this big long thing. We're just like really getting clear on something that they need or want, and me showing them whether or not I can help them with that. Okay. So we want to try to get your time back with these Be Known touch points. Okay. So what? Doing this right means you're not doing busyness owner activity, right? This is what's going to multiply your time, because it's going to answer the questions, right? Instead of like all the individual conversations, and it's not going to leave people in no man's land. This is how you're going to move from step 1, being seen, to step 3, being the one faster, right? Because you're building the trust, because you've got clarity and things like that. They know what your convictions are. So your assignment before I see you tomorrow is to pick those 3 people and ask a question and then offer them a Be Known touch point. Okay. In the next 24 hours, I want you to do it with at least 3 people. You may take it and run with it and do it with 30 people. Great. But 3 people. Okay. That will take you less than 10 minutes. Okay. And as you do that, I want you to check it off. And I want you to say the fact that I did it, whether or not they responded, whether or not whatever, like it doesn't matter, because this is me doing my part. Right. And then come back tomorrow with your wins. I want to hear, even if it's just confidence, even if it's clarity, even if it's just like, okay, I realized I have some touch points already that I could be using, or you know what, like I've got an idea for something, and here's how I can make it happen in a really easy, simple way for now, so that it can be working for me. Okay. All right. I would love to hear in the chat or unmute for anybody who's still on live. What was an aha moment for you today? What was a RODI, return on time invested, that you were taking away from our time together today on day 2? How is us thinking about how to guide our leads through the Be Known phase with clear experiences to move them forward? How do you think this might save you time and energy? How might this keep you from the extremes or the friend zone? Anyone want to share something while it's fresh?
For me, it makes it more clear how the map might look and easier to get started.
Good. Yes. And really just kind of go one step at a time, Lorian. And again, it doesn't have to be 20 steps. But you can have a whole bunch of different options, because there might be some people who need more options than somebody else. So keep it simple. What do I think might be a good flow? And again, you might find some things branch off as you talk to people and you're like, oh, wow, this is a gap where I'm finding people really need this something here, in order to make this happen. So yeah, love it. The next step we give comes after a response from the initial question. Yes, right? And this is why it doesn't feel weird, because I'm not forcing something on you that you don't want. Right? So if they have responded back to that question, then you're like, that's amazing. I've actually got a blah, blah, blah that helps exactly with that. Would you like me to send the link? Or you can just be like, here's the link. I mean, I think at that point you already have their permission. You don't have to do a second message, right? You've already got the permission, and I'd love to hear how this helped you with this. Why don't I give you a quick text in like 2 or 3 days, kind of, if you can even set the timeline on it, then you're not weird when you reach out because you told them you were going to. You're just doing what you said. So again, here's where we don't overthink it, right? The first point is just to ask a question and give something in response. What difference would that make if you started doing that on the daily? Okay. Create an inventory of our resources. Good. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm realizing I need to update current, create new, and create the map. Okay. Yes. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed, Sandy. Like, I got to start from scratch, I hope you see, I do have some things. Here's maybe where I want to revamp it, right? Here's where maybe there's a gap that I want to create something new or something like that. So yeah. And then kind of mapping it out can be super helpful. Good. Yeah. The levels of interaction. Yes. Right. And some people, Carol, may hang out more in one level than another, right? Again, it's going to be based on their personality. How do they make buying decisions? How do they figure out if you are worth their time and money and whatever that is, right? So everybody's going to be a little bit different. So that's why if we could have a couple options at each level, it will give us some place so it doesn't just be like, okay, well, now I don't know where to go from here, And guess what? Permission to just come up with something on the spot, like it doesn't even have to be like it was something that was already created and, all automated and all that kind of stuff. Like it literally could just be like, oh, hey, I was just writing about this in my journal. Here, let me take a picture of this. It could be, hey, I was just reading this article and it made me think of our conversation. Like, again, here's ways that you're connecting with people, even if it wasn't your direct content that was there. So good. Anyone have any questions who's still on live? I always like to kind of give a little bonus time to anybody who hangs out with me till the end. If you've got a Be Known touch point that you want to, kind of talk through real quick, or you're like, okay, I'm kind of feeling like this might be a good flow, or maybe you're like, Lissa, I'm ready to go, and that's fine.
Can you repeat some of the examples for experiences?
Yeah. So experiences can be anything from, and again, I think experiences are going to be more than a printed thing. Okay. Now, again, you get to define it how you want to define it because you're the CEO. But for me, in my world, an experience is something that's more like a workshop. I do have an evergreen masterclass, so that I feel like is an experience because it's not just, a piece of paper, they're actually hearing my voice, they're seeing me, things like that. My audio series, I think could be a good experience. I do an audit call. So we do a CEO time audit where we look at your time and kind of where you've been investing it and what kind of results RODI you're getting. And then we look at what kind of RODI do you want and what might be some distractions or gaps that are in there. So I think it's going to be an experience is probably more of a live something. And when I say live, it can be recorded. It doesn't necessarily have to be like this where it's flesh out. But yeah, paid or not paid, either or. I mean, again, here's the one thing that I do. I'm actually going to test something next month. I am going to offer a paid intensive. It's going to be like a 3-hour intensive where we're going to go really deep on workflows for workshops so that they actually work. And I'm going to give you templates and workflows and all the things. So I'm going to do that and test out paying for it. But here's the one thing, Lorian, that I think, at least in the beginning, keep free options because you never want that to be what keeps somebody from experiencing you. Okay, from getting to know you, right? And then, yes, you can move into some paid options. And one thing that works really well these days is sometimes people just want to pay for something small. Like maybe somebody wants to buy my $67 planner and experience the course that comes with it. And then they're ready to jump into a program or something like that. So you can have some one-off paid things, but YouTube kind of as an experience. Yes, it could. I think it probably might be a little bit more under a resource. So if you're having a conversation with somebody about a certain topic or they're having a frustration, you're like, hey, I just did a YouTube video about this. So yes, I mean, there is a live element to it. So again, don't overthink which category does it fit in. I mean, technically it could be both. Yes, you could do YouTube lives. Yes, going live, right? Could be things and stuff. And then you can send links to it. So yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Anybody else? A question or an aha or something that you want? Okay, well, hopefully I've given you some things to think about. Okay, keep it simple, sister, right? KISS, keep it simple. I want you just look at what you already have, okay? And if you are going to make something new, keep it super simple, or maybe it's this is an idea, but I know it's not for now, so get it down here on paper, right? Let's start with what you already have and start thinking about people that are should be in the be known phase of your relationship building. And start building out that touch point map so that way we can start moving them. And then tomorrow on day 3, we're going to move into be the one. How do we have the define the relationship conversation, right? That leads to yeses. And you better believe, I would guess not more times than not, before somebody actually proposes to somebody, they probably have a lot of confidence this person's going to say yes, right? They've had enough touch point experiences where I'm not wondering how are they going to respond, especially because now my daughter just got engaged in July and now it's this public thing with the photographers there and, you have the party afterwards or whatever. So what if she says no, That being said, my daughter-in-law's parents, I think her mom turned her dad down 3 times before she finally said yes. So poor guy, but he kept coming back and now, they've been together and then, yeah, our kids got married and whatever. So anyway, but yeah, we're going to be talking tomorrow. How do you know exactly when and how to pop the question with confidence and clarity and certainty? And I'm here to serve. I'm not here to just, sell you something. But I think when we do this work in the be known part, then that part is going to be the easy part. Because it just makes sense, right? Why would we not invite them to something next? Okay. And if you know of a business bestie who might need this, send her the link, redeemhertime.com/mine. And she can catch up on the replays and she can join us tomorrow live for day 3 if that works, or watch the replay. So, all right. Well, thanks for being here, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. I can't wait to hear what you come back with as wins tomorrow. I encourage you, ask questions or share wins even between now and then in the community, like some people did last time, because I think that's how we keep processing and keep, implementing and yeah, making it happen. All right. Thanks, you guys.